this often, and they don't want to care about that stuff. As far as what is the politics of the company, they don't want to individually care about that. And in a more prosperous world, we wouldn't have to worry about that. There'd be far more people just not giving a crap about what the positions of the people that control whatever good or service that they're trying to provide. But we're beyond that, and we have to understand the cultural reality here. So what I mean by they use that to their advantage is that they expect, and I think this is why a lot of this stuff accelerated, because they know that you don't act like them. A big, big difference between the authoritarian left and the authoritarian social justice left and the other sides that I just mentioned earlier is that they, as I mentioned before, like Gina Carano, they see people among them that are among their ranks that participate in Hollywood, let's say, that sort of cultural entity. They get you out. They do everything they can to make sure if you are open and bold and proud about not being one of them, then they seek to eliminate you. Okay? They also do not generally go support the ventures of people that don't align with them ideologically. Now, this isn't about mere disagreements here that we're talking about. This is about more so these people despise you. They don't like your guts. So they're not going to go purchase a Daily Wire, subscription or Blaze Network. That's not what they do. They don't operate like that. They will seek you out and say we need to avoid them and do everything they can to delegitimize you. Hell, it happened with Gina Carano, not only in getting her out, but when she left. And it was announced that the Daily Wire was they were going to be working together to try to come up with these films. We then found out that, all these XX media, they were coming together to basically say, ha, it's a demotion, you suck. They don't want to see you be great. But this is the thing, here's your white pill. Though they can't change, they can be competed with and they can be replaced. Is it easy? No. And that's going to take not just creatives. Creatives are part of that, but customers are more important than anything. And that people have to start rerouting, as these alternatives come up, rerouting their focus and probably like money, let's say that, to these entities that really have made it clear that they don't like you. Again, I'm not interested in protecting the status quo. So even if these companies that have been around forever, are no longer around, that doesn't bother me at all. At all. If Disney goes into I'd actually prefer it that way, goes into the tank because the people that they don't like have finally started to say, we're not funding you. Nothing it is that you do is the easiest of the mega corporations to defund because you don't provide a good that people actually need. Everything Disney does is strictly entertainment. Let's assume that the other side finally wakes up and says, we're done with Disney. We're done. And they get ran into the ground because they cannot operate by simply depending on the money from the left. They can't do it. I mean, the left is broke. Unless you talk about the champagne socialists and like the academics, aside from them, they ain't got no money. They depend on the money. And it goes back to what I said. They know to take advantage of how you act because they know they depend on the money of the people that they hate. But the people that they hate don't have, not yet, enough of the fortitude to stop funding them. Like in droves. It's one thing, fun here. I'm talking about like in droves. It's still people lining their pockets up. That's why they got so cocky. They got cocky because it's like, well, we realize there's not going to be any economic consequence to what it is that we do, so who cares? So you can't change these guys. They understand that's too important. They worked very hard to get control of what they have. They ain't letting it go. They got it. They pimped a lot of these corporate entities into shape. They got it. They're not letting it go. So you should. And made new stuff in every industry, entertainment, in every single one. And I hope that with entertainment, that sets a precedent and it gets a kind of domino momentous impact. And it goes into other industries that cross into stuff that people actually need. I love the idea of decentralization. I love that, which is what it would be. Parallel economy, that's what it implies. Decentralizations. Right now you have mega corporations that are in control of so much. Entertainment, at least, is something that can be replaced because a lot of it you don't require it. I'm not saying that it's useless or trivial, but it's not like food. You know what I mean? You'll live without that stuff, and it's easy to be replaced. So you can imagine if people actually did that and alternatives that were good. That's first and foremost. You got to be good. You can't just be an alternative or think that you wanted to support just because you're an alternative. Be good. Be on your craft. And as customers start to reroute their attention to those, we can make some very, very drastic changes. And those drastic changes may change into other industries, influence people in the other industries. They start investing in other aspects. So people have not only more options, but it's not just that. Updated economic models, right? Instead of the typical corporate kind of lineup, which is what we have now. We don't need that. People have a direct line of sight with their audience, with their customers. You don't need that. You don't need creatives to sell off their assets. You don't have to do that anymore. So as more people do that, creatives create, be great, then we don't need them to change. We leave them exactly where they're at. But we leave them broke. You can't change them. It sucks. I've had to concede that the Marvel and DC that I love is gone. And I will never fund as long as I have anything to do with it. I'm not directly funded, especially Disney, Marvel. Not directly funded. Thankfully, AT&T let off their entertainment assets, so DC is doing Discovery. I don't need nothing Discovery from Warner. I don't need anything from them. Though, I get it. Definitely, if they have entered in like the internet space and all of that, I don't know if that side of Warner is in the Discovery. I don't think so, actually. I think it's just entertainment. We don't need them. Let them die. But this is a white pill. You can't change them. And it may suck because you're like, man, I grew up on this. This stuff was awesome. Well, they ain't going nowhere. You got your catalog and your back issues for your books. You don't need them. Made a new entities rise from the ashes, but more importantly, understanding what that means. It's a lot of uncertainty that will come from that. A lot of moving parts, a lot of people that are in positions of power that ain't gonna go down with a fight, but they gonna have to. But either way, it's gonna be a lot of changes and uncertainty for a lot of people. The difference, I guess, between myself and others is that I welcome that. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Kenan's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRepublic.